Alright, we're here with Maximilian John Edwards Reynolds, not to be confused with Edwards Reynolds or any other variation of that name, who just is fresh off of his second place at YCS Cancun. Playing what deck?
Rescue Ace.
And what sound do the Rescue Ace monsters make?
Wee woo, wee woo. I honestly entered this event thinking I was going to kind of have a good time with this deck, but I wouldn't be in for a long time. This was mainly meant to be a vacation and just a relaxing weekend. And it was some of those things, but I definitely lasted a lot longer in the tournament than I was expecting to. So yeah, I mean, the round by round, I played against a lot of good players, actually. I think the Latin Americans are all like pretty decent, and then eventually you start to run into more of the seasoned players like from Europe that traveled in. But if you want the round by round, I played Sword Soul the first round. I beat that. I played against Pearly the second round. I beat that. Rounds 3 and 4, I played against Tier Element, which was very random, especially in the older format, not in the current one or the upcoming one with the ban list. One of those players was Yassine, who's a very nice guy. Just drew a little bit unfortunate with that deck. My round 5 was probably the weirdest one. It was an ABC Trickstar Super Heavy Samurai deck. And this was on table 1, so I really didn't know what to expect or what was going on. He started with Candina the first game, and not much happened with that. He just kind of drew unfortunate, and then after the match, he actually showed me the ABC cards, and I was like, oh, I had no idea you were playing those. Then I played against Fluundries, which was one of the Disciple guys. I think his name was Henry. Really nice. He destroyed me in Game 3. Flu, I learned this weekend, was a very hard matchup for Rescue Ace. A lot of the interactions don't really line up too well into a good Fluundries hand, unfortunately. Then I played against Chimera, and I won that. That was really close against another really nice guy. I played against Unchained, which was Jesse. I didn't really draw the best. There were a few things after looking back on it, I probably could have done differently, but ultimately I probably would have still lost. Unchained is another pretty hard matchup for this deck, especially if you're going second into it, but that's okay. Day 2, I played against Pearly the first round. I got very lucky in that match to win in Game 3. The last round of Day 2, I played against Carlo, who is a very nice player from South America, and he was playing Unchained, and I managed to edge out a win there. In Top 32, I played against Marcus Patel, who is another Disciple. He was playing Rika Sun Avalon, and honestly, I just drew really fortunate hands, and he drew very unfortunate hands. And I played against a very nice guy from Georgia. He was playing Kashtira. And this is kind of where I hit my stride, because I didn't really play against Kashtira and Swiss at all. And that is probably this deck's easiest matchup if you win the roll. But even if you go second, it's definitely manageable. So I ended up beating him in Game 3. It was really close, but I managed to edge it out because of enemy controller. In Top 8, I played against Marcus Patel's brother, actually. He was playing Kashtira also. I managed to win that. And then in Top 4, I played against Kashtira again, my good friend Joey Chow, and I Iblee locked him in the third game, and he basically scooped immediately. He said he didn't want to waste time. He didn't really have an answer for it in his opening 6 cards, I guess, going second. And then in the finals, I played against Fluundries again, which there wasn't really that much to do in the third game. He had Harpy's Featherstorm and Dimensional Shifter, which was pretty much impossible for me to play into. But I had a lot of fun playing this deck. So I played 3 Fenrir. I know, really good Rescue Ace monster. This was just really solid going second. Originally, this slot was a Book of Moon, but this just made more sense going into a wider array of decks. So yeah, Fenrir was pretty good, and the discard was definitely like helpful, especially with the nightmares. I use the nightmare monsters probably the most in my extra deck, just playing into boards and whatnot. So having a free discard basically, and also a body to remove something, was really valuable. And then all of the Rescue Ace cards, we played 1 Fire Engine, 2 Turbulence, 3 Impulse. I understand this is maybe a little different. I don't know. Jeff was telling me that some people played like 1 or 2 of this because it wasn't that good to activate on the opponent's turn because of all the tactics cards running around. Honestly, I still, didn't use this as much going second. Sometimes you definitely have to if you need to get going. Obviously, a tactics card will suck if they resolve it, but if you can't play, like, it's basically like you're losing anyways. So sometimes you just have to do this to get the ball rolling if your hand is a little weird. And that was a mistake I made against Jesse. I kind of like overthought it and didn't even try to do this, and I ended with like basically nothing on my next turn. So that wasn't very good. So definitely really like 3 of this, and going second into a board when it's your turn too, it's very helpful, especially if they don't know you have it and their interaction is primarily monster effects on field. You can just chain this from your hand if they don't know you have it. You can also just normal summon it into a board to force interaction and then chain it again. So that's pretty good. That was a really important line that I used to win my top 16 match, actually, was normal summoning this to force something. 3 Airlifter. This is the best one. It's basically just a 1-card combo to Iblee lock and set 4. 2 Preventer. This is just basically a Book of Moon, if anyone doesn't know. It's also really strong, playing into boards, and it floats 1 back. 3 Hydrant. This card is insane.
This card's insane? Everyone says this card is the worst one, and everyone says this card's insane.
I think they're both pretty good. This card makes your traps a lot more powerful, and it turns your rescue into a reborn from your opponent's grave. So if you're playing into their board and you manage to crack it, but maybe not kill them, and they have something like a Baron in the graveyard, you can just steal that on their turn if you already used one of your Rescue Ace cards on your turn that was set. So that was pretty cool. 1 Iblee. This was not the best in Swiss, but it got a lot better in Top Cut. Also, looking back on some of my matches, I probably should have gone for this line more. Just blind to cover evenly matched.
I think we were just talking about how you respected Nibiru way more in Swiss than you did in Top Cut.
Yeah, so I just really didn't want to play into Nibiru game 1 if I couldn't help it in Swiss, but I kind of got a little more comfortable in Top Cut and just kind of went for it because I was so worried about evenly. Especially if you don't draw a Judgment post side, you pretty much have to do that. Then the hand traps were 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Impermanence. These were just the most well-rounded ones, I thought. And in my very limited games of testing, Nibiru was just really solid against Unchained. It kind of did enough to make the board a little bit more manageable. So yeah, and then Ash and Perm are just like really standard cards, but Ash is also really good because this deck plays Sunlight Wolf, and sometimes you can recycle your own Ash with Sunlight Wolf's effect, just like you would do in Salamangreat. So this is just really good, obviously. And then Imperm lined up really well just because it doesn't play into tactics, and it does enough going first and second against decks. So really liked Imperm. Spells 3 Prosperity. This card should probably be banned, but that's what it is. 3 Emergencia, 1 Rescue, 1 Alert, 1 HQ, and 1 Contain, and 1 Extinguish. These are all the Rescue Ace spells and traps.
Yeah, this is like pretty standard right now.
Yeah, there's really nothing too special about that. 1 for 1, Call By, and Rhoda, all just really powerful broken cards. Nothing to say about that.
I did see one person on Twitter ask how you felt about Call By. Did you ever call by the grave Ash Blossom or anything? Because that's what it's mainly there for, is to make sure that,
Call By was good. It just, anytime I had it, I felt more secure making my plays. And it actually really helped against those Trailman decks that I played against. I was fortunate to draw it against one of them. And I had this and a Bestial playing second into the board, and this just made it really easy, obviously. So I thought the Call By was good. I definitely think you could get by without it if you wanted to push the deck down to 40, but I don't personally think the math on 40 to 41 is that significant, and I think I'd rather just have Call By in my deck. So for the side deck, there were 3 Juris Worms, no Magnamut, because this one's just more efficient into Unchained. Magnamut doesn't really do that much for you, and there wasn't really that many other decks in the format where you would really want the follow-up Bestial for. At least I thought, so this was perfect. For removal, I played Feather Duster and 2 Lightning Storms. I thought, obviously, Labyrinth was just a really hard matchup for this deck, but that deck shouldn't technically exist because Unchained just really destroys it. But I was still concerned about that. And obviously these cards are just generic enough. You can slot them into other decks too. 3 enemy controller. This was mainly for Kashtira. Just something you can throw into the board if they want to, like a Rise for E, you can chain this, take it, and kind of keep playing. Link it off. You don't necessarily have to Zeus them. 3-dimensional barrier. Not much to say about that. And then 3 Solemn Judgment. This was just basically more evenly insurance. If I drew this, and I had the chance to Iblee combo, I basically would just do this instead and play under 5 summons, because, you know, covers the first evenly. If they have the second one, I guess that sucks, but I'd rather, you know, play as secure as I can. But I mean, it's just Solemn Judgment. It's really never that bad to have going first. For the extra deck, there was 1 Abyss Dweller, which most of the tournament I did not even know how to summon without like a crazy hand, and I never really used it once, to be honest. Gigantic, and this is a beat cop, so this was part of the Iblee combo. Was basically these 3 cards. Yeah, was the Puzzle Mino, the Gigantic, and the beat cop. Link Kribo and Almirage. These are my Link ones. Quite a bit of people were asking me about why I didn't play Anima. I really didn't think it was going to come up that often, and I had to cut something for this, and that just was like the easiest one to kind of slot out. The only real application I found with Anima was if I Nibiru'd my opponent, I could, you know, take the token. It doesn't gain the attack, but it was like an easy way to do that, but it just seemed pretty irrelevant. I did use Link Rebo quite a lot with the Nightmares, like co-linking the Phoenix for the draw definitely happened a good amount of time. So yeah, I thought that was good. I played Masquerena, Sunlight Wolf, Dark, Hida. Those are the other Link 2s. Not much to say about them. I definitely used them all a fair amount. Against one of the tier opponents, they milled an Ash off like in a desperate thing on my turn, and I ended up being able to kill them because of it with Hida, so that was cool. 1 Heat Soul. You need this if Hydrant is your only way to play. You can just set this up and, you know, draw some cards. Maybe you'll just hit Emergency after the fact, and you'll be okay. Unicorn. I use this quite a lot. Just overall pretty good. Access Code, probably my favorite card in the extra deck. Just makes the games over really quickly. And then Appaloosa. I only summoned this once, I think, and it was against Sword Soul.
So that card could probably become Anima if you played the deck again.
It could, yeah. It could probably be Anima. Yeah. I thought the deck was pretty fun, but I think moving forward, it would be very easy for someone to look at this list and just put Link Rebo in their extra deck to cover the Iblee lock. And then they also got a Trap Negate for the back row. So yeah, I'm honestly just really happy I got to play such a, I don't know if I'd call it a silly deck, but just something a little bit different and do so well with it.
Do you want to show your Iblee combo real quick?
Yeah, sure. So for the people that were wondering about that, all you need is Airlifter. So you summon the Airlifter, and you grab Emergency, and you can see everything.
Yep.
You play the Emergency, and you summon Hydrant, and then Emergency requires you to tribute a monster, so you just tribute your Airlifter. Then you use Hydrant's effects to search for Turbulence, and you activate Turbulence's effects in your hand. You banish the 2 cards you had before from grave for cost to summon them, and then you set 4 Rescue Ace Spell and Traps from your deck, so you're going to grab Contain, Extinguish, Alert, and I usually like to just have another Emergency for the follow-up, because it's just the most generic going second. Then Hydrant's effect says you can use 1 of your set Rescue Ace Spell and Traps the turn it was set, once per turn. So you use that on your Alert to grab a Preventer from your deck. And then Preventer can banish any Rescue Ace card from your graveyard, and Alert is treated as a Rescue Ace card, so you activate this in your hand to banish the spell and special summon it. Then you'll just link your Preventer and your Turbulence into Puzzle Mino, which is this little guy. It just takes 2 monsters with different levels. Huge shout out to Leo and Naya from Team Ghost for lending this to me. I really did not know where I was going to get that. So, since your Preventer went to the graveyard, you can activate its effect to special summon any banished Restoration monster that is not level 8. So you'll just bring back your Airlifter, and then when Puzzle Mino sees a monster special summon to its zone, you can call a level, I believe, 1 through 8. You just make it a level 2, and then you overlay these for a gigantic sprite, wherever he is in here. You activate his effect. I usually like to detach the Airlifter in case you want to bring it back for later.
Well, also when he has a link underneath him, he has attack points. So if something goes wrong here, he has attack points.
That is true. Summon the Iblee from your deck, and then you'll just link these 2 dark monsters, very important that they're both dark, into your Beat Cop, which is still proxied. Beat Cop basically just says it takes 2 darks, but you contribute it to put basically a Beat Cop counter on a card on the field, and that card has to be destroyed twice, basically. So when you give your opponent the Iblee, you just tribute your Beat Cop to put the counter on the Iblee, so now they don't have anything to potentially crash it into, and it has to be destroyed twice. So it's pretty good. And then besides that, you have an Extinguish and a Contain, so you can pop any effect monster and negate any effect monster, and you also get the bonus effects from Hydrant. And on top of all of that, you have Emergency to summon any of them from your deck that you might need. And this was all off of 1 card, so you also will have 4 other cards at your disposal. Very unlikely that you don't have another Rescue Ace card to play with.
All right. Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I have quite a lot of shout-outs and just people I'd like to, mention. The biggest one to Jeff Jones for kind of just always being there for me and also proposing to me this weekend. We got engaged, and that was just super wonderful. I did not expect that at all. That was just really great. Everyone in the Soup Kitchen, you know who you are. That is just a Facebook group chat. My friend Jordan, probably my best friend Jordan, and everyone from back home in Wisconsin who was sending me messages, really meant a lot to get your support while playing. I was really just kind of going through the motions. I did not expect any of this. Everyone in the basement in Michigan, you guys are all also very good friends, and your support meant a lot. Jeff's friend and my closer friend now, Steven and Rahan, 2 other Rescue Ace duelists in the tournament. It was really cool talking to them. And of course, JrbJobber, team sponsor. Thank you so much for all that you do. If there's anyone that I'm forgetting, I'm really sorry, but I did my best to remember.